What if the greatest danger in life is not the storm itself, but the foundation people build their lives upon before the storm arrives? What if many people who believe they are spiritually strong are actually standing on ground that will collapse the moment life becomes difficult? And what if Jesus was warning that hearing God's truth means nothing unless it changes the way a person actually lives? As the crowd listened carefully, Jesus ended his teaching with a powerful picture every person could understand. 2 builders, 2 houses, 1 storm, and 2 completely different outcomes. At first glance, the houses may have looked similar. From a distance, people probably could not tell the difference. Both builders invested time, effort, and energy. Both wanted shelter, safety, and stability. But the real difference was hidden underneath: the foundation. Jesus began with a direct question that still confronts people today. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I say? Those words cut deeply because they expose a dangerous contradiction. It is possible to speak about faith without truly living it. A person can know religious language, attend church, quote scripture, and still build their life on something unstable. Jesus was not impressed merely by words. He cared about obedience, not shallow performance, not appearance, not emotional moments, but lives genuinely shaped by truth. This message becomes uncomfortable because many people assume hearing truth is the same as living truth. They listen to sermons, read verses online, watch inspirational videos, and feel spiritually satisfied without allowing those truths to transform their decisions, priorities, relationships, and daily actions. But Jesus said hearing alone is not enough. Then he described the first builder. As for everyone who comes to me and hears my words and puts them into practice, I will show you what they are like. Notice the order carefully. Come to Jesus, hear his words, put them into practice. Faith was never meant to remain theoretical. Real faith changes how people live. Jesus said this person is like a man building a house who dug down deep and laid the foundation on rock. That phrase matters. He dug deep. Building on rock required effort. It took time, patience, sacrifice, and intentional work. While others may have searched for easier paths, this builder chose stability over convenience, and that mirrors spiritual life perfectly. Building a strong life with God requires depth. Depth in prayer, depth in truth, depth in character, depth in obedience. The modern world often encourages the opposite. People are drawn toward quick results, shallow inspiration, instant gratification, and comfortable religion that demands little sacrifice. But shallow roots cannot survive deep storms. Jesus warned that eventually every life faces floods. Pain comes, loss comes, temptation comes, fear comes, disappointment comes. Storms are unavoidable. The real question is not whether storms will come, but whether the foundation can survive them. Jesus continued, when a flood came, the torrent struck that house but could not shake it because it was well built. Notice something important. The storm still hit the wise builder's house. Following God does not eliminate difficulty from life. Many people wrongly assume faith guarantees comfort, success, or an easy path. But Jesus never promised a storm-free life. In fact, he repeatedly warned his followers about hardship, persecution, trials, and suffering. The difference is not the absence of storms. The difference is stability during storms. A life anchored in God can endure what would otherwise destroy it. Think about the people who collapse emotionally the moment life becomes painful. Some lose hope immediately when finances fail, relationships break, or health declines. Others build their entire identity on temporary things like success, popularity, appearance, or wealth. When those things disappear, their sense of self collapses too. Why? Because temporary things make weak foundations. Anything built entirely on money, status, relationships, or public approval eventually becomes unstable because those things can all disappear. Jesus was pointing people towards something eternal, a foundation strong enough to survive every storm. Then he described the second builder. But the one who hears my words and does not put them into practice is like a man who built a house on the ground without a foundation. Notice again, this person also heard Jesus' words. That changes everything. The foolish builder was not ignorant. He was not necessarily hostile toward truth, he simply ignored it. And that may be even more dangerous. There are many people today who admire Jesus intellectually while refusing to surrender their lives to him practically. They enjoy inspirational teaching, but resist obedience when it becomes uncomfortable. They hear about forgiveness but continue feeding bitterness. Hear about humility but pursue pride. Hear about honesty but continue deception. Hear about faith but trust the world more than God. Jesus warned that knowledge without obedience creates spiritual instability. The foolish builder likely chose the easier path. Building without a foundation saves time initially. It feels more convenient, faster, less demanding. But shortcuts often create hidden weaknesses, and hidden weaknesses become visible during storms. Jesus then described the outcome. The moment the torrent struck that house, it collapsed and its destruction was complete. The fall was sudden, total, devastating. Why? Because storms reveal foundations. Pressure exposes what normal circumstances often hide. Anyone can appear stable when life feels comfortable. Anyone can appear confident during calm seasons, but crisis reveals what people truly trust. This teaching reaches far beyond religion. People build their lives on different foundations every day. Some build on money. Others build on relationships. Others build on achievement, beauty, politics, popularity, or personal ambition. But every human foundation outside of God eventually shakes. Money disappears. Health fades. Careers change. People disappoint. Cultures shift. Even entire nations rise and fall. Only God remains unshaken. That is why Jesus called people to build deeply upon truth. This message becomes especially relevant in modern culture because so much of life today is built on appearance rather than substance. Social media allows people to construct carefully managed images. Success is often measured by visibility rather than character. Many focus more on looking stable than actually becoming stable. But storms do not care about appearances. Mental breakdowns, family crises, addictions, loneliness, loss, fear. These storms expose the true condition of the foundation underneath. Some people appear outwardly successful while privately collapsing inside because their identity was built entirely on unstable things. Jesus wanted his followers to build differently. Not superficially, not emotionally only, but deeply. One of the most important details in this story is that foundations are mostly invisible. People admire houses. They notice decorations, size, beauty, and outward appearance. But foundations remain underground, hidden. And yet the unseen foundation determines whether everything survives. The same is true spiritually. Private life matters more than public image. Character matters more than reputation. Integrity matters more than performance. A person may fool others temporarily, but storms reveal reality eventually. This is why secret spiritual habits matter so much. Prayer when no one sees. Obedience in private. Integrity when compromise would be easier. Trusting God quietly during difficult seasons. These hidden choices strengthen the foundation, and over time, they create stability. Jesus also revealed that obedience is not restriction, it is protection. Many people view God's commands as limitations on freedom, but Jesus understood human nature completely. He knew that ignoring truth eventually leads toward destruction. A builder ignoring foundation work may feel free initially, but later the consequences become unavoidable. In the same way, people often ignore God's wisdom while life feels easy. Pride whispers, "You don't need this." Culture says, "Follow your feelings." The world encourages self-centered living, detached from God's truth. But storms expose the danger of those choices eventually. This applies to every area of life. Relationships built on selfishness eventually weaken. Lives built on dishonesty eventually crack. Hearts built on pride eventually fall. But truth creates stability. Not instant perfection, but lasting strength. Jesus was inviting people into a life that could survive suffering without collapsing spiritually. That kind of strength becomes extremely valuable during seasons of pain. Some people walk through unimaginable hardship while maintaining peace, faith, and hope. Others collapse under pressures that seem smaller externally. Why the difference? Often, the foundation. A life rooted deeply in God develops resilience the world cannot fully explain. Not because believers never struggle emotionally, not because they never cry or feel fear, but because underneath the pain remains something stronger than the storm. The presence of God, the promises of God, the truth of God. This story also contains a warning about delayed consequences. The foolish house may have looked perfectly fine for a while. Perhaps neighbors admired it. Perhaps it seemed secure during sunny days. But the weakness existed long before the collapse became visible. Many destructive choices in life work the same way. A person may ignore truth for years without immediate visible consequences. Pride, compromise, dishonesty, addiction, or spiritual neglect may remain hidden temporarily. But eventually, storms expose everything. That is why wisdom requires preparation before crisis arrives. No one waits until a hurricane begins to strengthen a foundation. Preparation happens beforehand. The same is true spiritually. Faith developed only during emergencies often remains shallow, but daily obedience builds deep roots over time. Jesus was calling people toward consistency, not occasional inspiration, not temporary emotional experiences, but lives grounded permanently in truth. One reason many people feel spiritually unstable today is because they build on shifting foundations. Feelings change constantly, culture changes constantly, public opinion changes constantly, but truth rooted in God remains steady. A person building entirely on emotion becomes unstable whenever emotions fluctuate. But a person anchored in truth can remain steady even when feelings become overwhelming. That does not mean emotions are wrong. It means emotions were never designed to become the foundation. Only God is stable enough for that role. Another powerful detail in Jesus' teaching is that both builders were actively building something. Every human being is constructing a life, whether consciously or unconsciously. Every decision adds another layer. Every habit strengthens a direction. Every priority shapes the structure. And eventually, the completed house reflects the chosen foundation underneath. Some people spend years building impressive external success while neglecting their soul entirely. Others invest deeply in character, truth, relationships, and spiritual growth. The results eventually become visible. Jesus wanted his followers to think long-term, not merely about temporary comfort, but about eternity. Because the ultimate storm every person faces is standing before God. At that moment, appearances will disappear. Public image will not matter. Excuses will vanish. Only truth will remain. And only foundations built on Christ will endure eternally. This message is both a warning and an invitation. A warning because shallow foundations eventually collapse, but an invitation because Jesus offers a stronger foundation to anyone willing to build upon him. No matter how unstable someone's past has been, rebuilding is possible. Some people realize halfway through life that they built on the wrong things entirely. Success without peace, pleasure without purpose, religion without transformation. But God's grace allows rebuilding. The process may take humility, repentance, surrender, but it is never too late to begin digging deeper. And digging deep requires honesty. Honesty about weakness, honesty about sin, honesty about fear. Because false strength creates weak foundations. Only truth creates stability. One of the greatest lies modern culture tells people is that self-sufficiency equals strength. But human beings were never designed to carry life alone. Storms eventually overwhelm isolated hearts. That is why dependence on God is not weakness. It is wisdom. The wise builder understood something the foolish builder ignored. What is unseen matters most. That truth changes how people live daily. It changes priorities. It changes decisions. It changes how people respond to temptation, suffering, success, and fear. Because people aware of eternity build differently. Jesus was not merely teaching people how to survive hard times. He was teaching them how to build lives that last. Lives rooted in truth, anchored in God, strengthened through obedience, and able to stand firm no matter what storms arrive. Today, every person hearing these words faces the same decision as the two builders. What foundation am I building on? What truly holds my life together? Would my faith survive a storm? Am I merely hearing truth or actually living it? These questions matter because storms eventually come for everyone, and when they arrive, foundations are revealed. The good news is that Jesus himself remains the solid rock, not culture, not popularity, not money, not emotion, not success, Christ alone. And those who build deeply upon him discover a stability the world cannot take away. Thank you for watching this video. If this message encouraged and challenged you, please like this video, share it with someone who may need this reminder, and subscribe to Holy Path Insights for more biblical teachings that strengthen faith and transform lives. May God help you build your life on a strong foundation that remains unshaken through every storm.